Hello my lovelies, welcome back to my channel. This is your girl Angel from Simply Angel Tia. In this video we are doing something nice and cute. It's a short skirt with ruffles. So as you can see here, something very easy to do using very simple stitches. All you have to do is just know how to do back loop, half double crochet, back loop, single crochet, and then just regular half double crochet, and that's it. So this is what we're gonna be working on here. I'm gonna be talking about the measurements where you measure to fit, but not necessarily how many stitches you need to do, how many rows you need to do to fit whatever size. And that's just how I work in general. So if that is something that is interesting to you, then stay on the video. If not, maybe it's not the channel for you or the video for you, because I don't do how many rows to fit whatever sizes, at least for 99.99% of my project. That's how it works. Okay, so this is what we're gonna be working on here, right here. Cute, nice skirt that is nice and playful, nice for dinner dates and things like that. Yeah, so if you're interested, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, my lovelies, so before we get started with the project, I'm gonna show you the materials that I'm using. I have my yarn here. It's Azurite 100% acrylic. This is, I call it orange, but this is color number 7. It is a lightweight number 3, and it's 50 grams or 140 meters for this skein like this. So you'll need a few depending on the size that you're making. And recommended hook size is 3.5 to 4 millimeter crochet hook. Okay, so this is what I'm using. You can use any size of yarn of your choice. You just have to adjust depending on the sizing. You have to adjust how many stitches you're doing, because the bigger the yarn, the larger it's gonna be. And the smaller it is, the smaller it's gonna be. So you can adjust the chains based on the sizing that we're gonna talk about. And you can also use any color of your choice. Okay, so that's the yarn I'm using. I'm gonna be using 4.25 millimeter crochet hook, or G6 US. It's close to this here. Most of the time I use a 5 millimeter crochet hook, but for a skirt I want it to be nice and tight and not like very loose, because sometimes if it stretches, it may end up being a little bit see-through if you do it with a bigger hook. So I'm gonna be using this one to give a little bit of a tighter tension. I have my darning needle here to be able to join. I have a tape measure to determine the size, and I'm gonna be using this hairpin here just as my stitch marker. I'm starting to use these guys here now more and more often. They're just easier than the traditional stitch markers that we use. I don't know why, but I tend to prefer them a lot better. Yeah, so this is all we need. I have a scissors somewhere, obviously, that you need as well to be able to cut your yarn. I don't have it handy right now. It's somewhere in the house and I can't find it. So, but that's it. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, my lovelies, so to get this project started, the first thing that you're gonna determine is the length. Obviously this tutorial is for a mini skirt, so it's gonna be a short skirt. So if you are doing this tutorial but for a long skirt, then you're gonna have to do a much longer chain than what we're gonna be doing here, and you're gonna pretty much determine how long you want it, and then you're gonna do chains that correspond to that length. But for this one, I'm doing it as a mini skirt and it's a small, so I'm gonna be doing about 70 chains. So I'm gonna start by doing a slip knot just like this. Okay, and you can do the slip knot however you find it easy for you, or however you learned to do it. And then when you have your slip knot, you're going to start by doing the number of chains you need. It doesn't have to be an odd number or an even number, just the length that you need. So for me, I will do 100. So I will do a chain of 70. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And just make sure when you're doing your chains here, do them a little bit, not too tight but not too loose, just nice and even like that, so that it's easy for you to work, especially for the first row, so you can work in the back loop of your stitches. Okay, so I'm gonna do my 70 and then we will go ahead and get started. Okay, my lovelies, so I have completed my chain of 70 here. So as you can see, that's pretty much how it looks. So just to determine what length you want to do for your skirt, the reason I'm doing 70, a chain of 70, because that gives me the length that I want. So if I measure the skirt here from the chain from the beginning to the end here, I have, just for the chain alone, not the whole project, So I have about 15, I have about 16 inches, okay? So I have 16 inches without stretching it of the length of the skirt that I want. And I have this size because I measure for my skirt from the back because my back is bigger. I have a big back. And so I measure this from the back because if I measure this from the front, it's gonna look like it's because it goes flat. I don't have any back on the front, so it's gonna give me a false size. So what I do is I drop my tape measure in the back from where how high I want it to be, and then I go down to whatever length I want it to be. So 16 inches is the size that I want. And keep in mind this skirt is gonna have ruffles in the bottom, so we're gonna probably increase that by a couple of inches as well, probably about 2 to 3 inches. So this is 16 just for the skirt itself, and then it's probably gonna go to about 18, 19 for when we add the ruffles in the bottom, okay? So with 70, this is the length that I want. I'm gonna add one more chain for my working chain, and then I'm gonna just pivot my work to the side or turn it to the side like that. And that chain that I just added, it doesn't count as a stitch. It's actually just for me to be able to turn my work. So I'm gonna go into the very first stitch here in the back of the first stitch here, and I'm gonna go in with a half double crochet. So I'm just gonna go into that stitch, grab the back loop or the lump of the chain and complete my half double crochet. And then I'm gonna go into the next stitch right here, and I'm gonna grab that lump in the back right here like this and complete my second half double crochet. And then I'm gonna do this in every stitch all the way down until I have 12 stitches to go. The 12 stitches for me is gonna be the band of the skirt. So I'm actually working starting from the bottom of the skirt here and then working myself up towards the waist, okay? So I'm gonna just quickly show you what I'm talking about. So this half double crochet is gonna be the bottom, so the skirt is gonna go like this, and then this side here is gonna be the top. So it's gonna be where my skirt starts from my belly button area going down, okay? So what I will do for now is I will count out 12 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And why 12? Just because it's a preference. It has nothing to do with anything. You can make your band smaller, so by doing less chains. You can make your band wide by doing more chains, for example. So for me, 12 just means my band is gonna be that wide. That is the wideness of my band. And you can also use the tape measure at that point to determine how wide you want your band to be. So my band is going to be about 2.5 inches. So 2.5 inches is enough for me for the width of the band, okay? If you want it to be 3, then you do more. If you want it to be 4, you do more. If you want it to be 1 inch, then you do less, okay? So for this, I'm going to be doing my half double crochet stitches in the back of the chain all the way until I get to the stitch before the stitch marker. And then I'm going to come back so I can show you what to do for those remaining 12 stitches, because we're going to do something a little bit different. Okay, so do that and make sure you're working with very nice, even work so that your work looks nice and beautiful at the end. Don't make it too loose in some stitches and too tight in some stitches, just nice and even like this. All right, so let's meet back when you get to the stitch right before the stitch marker. Come back and I'll show you what to do next. Okay, my lovelies, so I have worked my half double crochets in the back of the foundation chain. So as you can see, this is how it looks like, and I have just done the last one right before the stitch marker here. So I have 12 stitches here to finish. So what I will do first is remove my stitch marker, just pull it out like that, put it down, and then in that stitch where you had the stitch marker, just go in the back, but this time with a single crochet. Grab the back loop, complete a single crochet, take your stitch marker, place it back in that stitch. That's going to be your first or the 12th stitch of single crochet, depending on what direction you're working to. And then you're going to go into the next stitch and complete the next single crochet. And then in the next stitch, you're going to complete the next single crochet. And these 12 stitches are going to be single crochets from this point on. And then the remaining are going to be half double crochet. So this is pretty much gonna create our band, which is a little bit which is a little bit tighter compared to the body of this skirt. Okay, so I'm just going down the stitches here. The first chain is a little bit, or the first row here is a little bit tricky because you're working in the back of the foundation chain, which means it takes a little bit longer to do, but the rest of the project is going to work really fast because you're going to be literally repeating. The next row that we're going to do is going to be the repeat row for the remainder of this project, especially the skirt part. Obviously we're going to be working on the ruffles as well, but yeah, otherwise it's a very easy project to do, but it's going to look nice. So I'm doing my last one here. Okay, just like that. Okay, so as you can see how it's thinner here, and then it gets a little bit wider as it goes up to the bottom of the skirt. And then you're going to start the next row by doing a chain one. This is how you're going to start every single row, is you chain one, and your chain one does not count as a stitch. Okay, so that doesn't count as a stitch, so which means you go into that stitch right here and you're going to grab the back loop to complete your first back loop single crochet, just like that. Okay, and this is going to be a project where we work in the back loop for the rest of the project as well. So and then we're going to grab the next stitch in the back loop and we do a single crochet, and then we're going to grab the next and do a single crochet, and we're going to be doing this for these 12 stitches with single crochets, the first 12 stitches, and then we're gonna switch and do half double crochets in the back loop as well. Okay, so very similar to how we worked the leg warmers, so nothing different at all. You're literally doing the exact same thing, except the number of stitches is less in the skirt versus the thigh high leg warmers that we completed previously. Okay, so as you can see, and then now my next stitch is where the stitch marker is, so I'm going to remove the stitch marker. Okay, put it down, go into that stitch with a single crochet in the back loop, put the stitch marker back on, and then now after that you do half double crochets in the back loop. Okay, so you go right into the next stitch and do your half double crochet in the back loop, and then into the next, and you do this all the way. And for the final stitch I go through both loops as opposed to just the back loop. And those of you obviously who have followed my tutorials are aware of that fact. It's just I've never really done a lot of projects where I work through the back loop for all the stitches, always for the final stitch on either side, whether it's on this side here of the single crochet or this side here of the half double crochet. I go through both loops for the final row, for the final stitch. That is something that is a preference. You don't have to do what I'm doing. If you prefer to just do back loop all the way to the final stitch, every time you do these back loop stitches, you can do that. Absolutely, it's up to you. I just prefer to finish it off with going through both loops when I do back loop stitches. Okay, so I'm gonna do this all the way to this end here. When you have one stitch left, which is this very end here, come back to the video and I will quickly show you how to begin that third row, and then that's pretty much what you repeat. So I'm not going to show you how to do many rows of this because it's just repeating until you have what you need. So I'm going to come back to show you how to start the third row, and then we will talk a little bit about how you determine how long you do this for, how many rows you do this for, to get to the sizes that you need. Okay, so I will see you when you get to the end here. Okay, my lovelies, so I have just finished my second row here, as you can see, and I have one stitch to go. So I just wanted to quickly come back to show you how I go through both loops. So I just yarn over like usual, and instead of going through just the back loop here, I go through both loops. So I just grab both loops like that, and then I complete my final half double crochet like so. Okay, I just find it keeps it steady, keeps it nice and even. And then I'll chain one and start the next row and turn. Again, remember your chain one, which you do on both sides of the project, they do not count as a stitch. Okay, and then I just go right into that stitch and I complete my first half double crochet like that. And then I go into the next stitch and I complete my half double crochet, and I do this all the way until I get to the stitch marker. I remove the stitch marker, and on that stitch I put have a single crochet in the back loop, and then I replace the stitch marker back, and then I complete the remaining 11, with the exception of the last one where I go through both loops just like I did here. And then we just repeat that. So this project is one row, one row repeat. And now I'm going to talk a little bit about the sizing. So again, we know the length, which is what we have already established here. So we know this is how long our mini skirt is going to be. And then of course, we're going to do the ruffles in the bottom here. But for the actual size around, what I did was I just measure the widest part of my hips, and I go around my body and I come up with the widest part of my hips, what it is. And then I can incorporate, so let's say it's 20. So let's say when I measure around the widest part of my hips is 20. Let's say it's like this, and this is how wide my hips are. So, and this is if you don't stretch anything, if you go skin to skin, okay? But of course, you don't want your skirt to be as tight, or unless you do, but if you do, you leave it here. But I will probably increase mine by about 2 inches so that there's a little bit of a wiggle room, or like a little bit of a looseness to it, so that it's nice and comfortable. So then you will do this to that length. So let's say hypothetically I was doing 22 inches, then I'm going to do this here. It's going to spread out to 22 inches because it's going to be one panel for the whole skirt, and then we're going to kind of fold it and join it on the other side to create a tube for our skirt, okay? So just measure the widest part of your hips, and then come up with whatever that size is, and then this is going to be how long you do your skirt here for. And keep in mind, it's going to be a very stretchy material, and that's going to give you also a little bit of a wiggle room in terms of how it fits. If you want it to really hug your body, you don't have to increase by any number of stitches. You just leave it like that. The stretchiness of the material will give you that comfortability in a sense, okay? So work this until you have the number of rows or the number of inches that you need, and then come back to the video, because all we will need to do at that point is have to join our panel on the side, the two sides together, and then we're going to work on the ruffles, okay? So I will see you guys then. Okay, my lovelies, I just wanted to quickly come and show you the progress of what I've done for my skirt. Just so you guys can see as well what it looks like based on what you're working on. So as you can see, this is, I have about 35, maybe 36 rows that I have completed. It's not at all close to what I need. I'll probably need to do a little bit more than double this for it to be what I need. But yeah, this is just so you can see the progress. It's going to give you a look that looks like that. Both sides are exactly the same. And of course, when we have everything done, we're going to be able to fold it like this and join it, and then it's going to be your skirt. Right now, it looks more like a sleeve for the sweater because of how small it is. But eventually, you will have it so that it's the full size for the skirt. And as you can see, this is the bottom where we're going to be adding our ruffles down here. And as you can also see, it's small enough that it is going to be a mini skirt. There's no way this is going to be a skirt that is of a length that is medium or long. So obviously, unless you're making it for a child, then maybe it will be a little bit longer for them, okay? But yeah, so just to show you the progress. So I'm going to continue to work on it, and I will see you guys when I have completed it. Okay, my lovelies, so I have gone ahead and completed my size here. So as you can see, I just did a big one panel for the skirt. It's pretty much looking like this. And I apologize for my voice. I've been trying to recover from a cold. So please pardon my graspy voice, but I have to get the work done. So I'm not waiting until I'm fully well to be able to do this for you guys. So as long as you can, I guess, hear me and understand me, that's all that matters. So anyways, I did about 104 rows here, and as you can see, it is for my size, and it is between small and medium. It's more on the small side because it's going to be a tight skirt. But this is pretty much something that you can measure to fit. So again, like we talked about at the beginning, you work it until it's the size that goes around you properly, and it covers you to the tightness or the looseness that you want, and that's what matters, okay? So this is it here. So I have stopped at 104 rows. So I'm gonna go ahead and now join my work like this so that the one panel becomes a tube and it becomes a skirt. And then we're gonna work on the ruffles in the bottom, okay? So I didn't leave us working yarn at the beginning here like I usually do, and that's not a problem. So I just took a piece and I cut it and I put it on my darning needle like that. And so we're gonna use this to join our work straight down. So I'm gonna remove the pin here that we don't need anymore as a stitch marker. I'm gonna line my work like this, just nice and straight, as you can see. And then I'm gonna start joining my work from here all the way to the bottom here, okay? So the way I do it, and you guys know this because I do it the exact same way every time. So I'm just gonna go into the very first stitch here, as you can see. Hopefully that is visible. And then on to the other side, I go through both loops of the first stitch as well. And then I pull it through. And then when I have just a little bit of yarn left like that, what I do at this point usually is I just do a knot, especially if I have a yarn that is, it can come off loose. I just do a nice knot there twice just to make it secure, just like that. And then into that same stitch, I'm gonna go in one more time, just like that. Okay. Voila. And then from this point on, I'm gonna be grabbing just one loop on one side and one loop on the other side, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and grab the outside loop of the next stitch here, and on the other side, so the closest loop towards me, and then the closest loop on the other side towards me as well. So in other words, it becomes the outside here and the inside on the other side, okay? And then I pull. And the reason I do it like this, it creates this kind of bump here for when we join it here, so that here is not flat, because if we go through both loops, it creates a very flat joining here like this that doesn't kind of line up with the rest of the project. So we do it like this so it mimics the way our pattern looks, okay? So, and then I just do that all the way down. So I just grab the closest loop to me on this side and the closest loop to me on the other side, and I pull, and I do the same all the way down towards the bottom. So I will have you guys do this, and then when you get to the bottom, come back to the video and I will go ahead and show you what to do next. And also when you're doing this, make sure you're not pulling too hard and not leaving it too loose. So as you can see, I'm doing it very kind of just very easy like that, so that it doesn't wrinkle up your work. And also you don't want to leave it loose that there's bumps of yarn kind of visible because you didn't pull it enough that it's staying loose, okay? Okay, so go ahead and join your work all the way to the bottom here. When you've reached here, come back to the video and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, see you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so I have worked my joining of the panel, as you can see. This is just a line down here all the way to here. I had just have one stitch to go, so I came back to show you guys how I would do this stitch here. Because it is the final stitch, what I do is just like we did at the beginning, I go through both loops on this side and I grab both loops on the other side and I pull that through. And I do that twice. So I do that once, twice. The second time, I just loop my yarn around like that. And this simulates like a slip stitch, okay? It locks it in place like that. And now that I have it like this, now it's just a straight and it makes it even and easy to work into. What I will do, I did cut this yarn a little bit too long. So I will just remove my stitch, my darning needle, put it on the side. I will leave this here. I often do that just in case I have to frog my work for whatever reason. Maybe I mess it up somewhere and I have to undo the whole thing. I will have this yarn to begin with from here, as opposed to cutting it off and weaving it in and all of that kind of stuff, okay? All right, so now if you just wanted your skirt just like as a short, tight skirt, you're done at this point, because this is it. Like, this is something that you can then just put on and you're good to go. But since we're doing the ruffles at the bottom of the skirt, we're gonna continue. So if you are doing the next step, then of course you're gonna continue with me. So what I will do here, and as you can see, I still have my working yarn attached. So I'm gonna go ahead and just bring my crochet hook here, and I'm gonna just pick up where we left off here. Okay, so the first thing that I'm gonna do, okay, I'm gonna just do I'm gonna start by doing a chain one here. Okay, and this chain one does not count as a stitch. So what I will do into that same stitch is I will work 2 half double crochets. So this is 1 and then 2. Okay, and so just so you know, in this kind of step here, we're increasing all around. And what I do is these lumps here counts as 2 rows. So there's a row here and there's a row here, and then there's a row here, there's a row here, and it goes like that. So what I will do is I will actually make it so that I do one here which goes towards this stitch here or this row, and then another one here which goes towards this row. So I will do 2, oops, I hope I'm not off camera here. I will do 2 double crochets in the next spot here. And then I will move on, and on here I will do 2 double crochet, half double crochets into the same stitch. And then I will move on to here and I'll do 2 double crochets in the same stitch. And as you can see, we just increase this all around, which is going to create our ruffles. Okay, and again, you are just doing a stitch here, a stitch here, a stitch here, a stitch here, which just pretty much means you have 2 half double crochets on every stitch around the bottom of your work. Okay, so then you go here and you do 2 half double crochets, and then you move on to here and do 2 half double crochets, and then you just continue this pattern around. Okay, so nothing too complicated. So go ahead and do this and repeat the same thing just like this all around until you come back to this section here. When you reach here, come back to the video and I will show you what to do next for the next row for the bottom. Okay, so I will see you guys when you have completed doing your increases all the way to here. Okay, my lovelies, so I have gone ahead and completed my first row here. I'm just placing it like this so you guys can see how it looks like in the bottom. So it's starting to kind of just go out a little bit, but there's a lot more to be done here. So I am all the way at the end. So what I will do here is I will just do 1 half double crochet into this space right here. It's kind of just like a middle spot where we had our joining, just so that we don't have a gap there when we slip stitch. Okay, so just something like that, and then I will go ahead and just slip stitch on top of the chain 1 that we did to start the row. Okay, so just something like this, a little bit tight. There you go. So we just join that section like that. Okay, and then for this next row, we're going to also increase on every stitch around. Okay, so this is really gonna create the ruffles for our skirt. So let's go ahead and get started with that. I'm just setting up my yarn on my finger here, and then I will show you how to do a few stitches, and then I'll let you guys complete this row as well. Okay, so again, we just start by doing a chain 1, which does not count as a double crochet or as a half double crochet, and then we go into that same stitch and we complete 2 half double crochets. Okay, and then we move on to the next stitch, which is right here, and we do 2 half double crochets, and then we go into the next stitch right here, we do 2 half double crochets, and then into the next stitch, and we just continue to repeat the increases. Okay, so again, we are increasing on every single stitch around by doing 2 half double crochets in every stitch. Okay, so again, this is gonna create our work that's gonna be very ruffly, I guess, if that is even a word. And so this is gonna be the last row that we increase. The next row that we do after this and the next couple, we are not going to increase anymore. Okay, but for now, you just continue to do these around, and as you can see, starting to kind of be a little bit more than it was in the first row here. So just do your increases all around. Again, when you get back to here, come back, and then I will show you how to start the next row, row 3 of the ruffle, and then I'll have you guys build the rest of it on your own. But for now, let's meet back here when you have completed this row all around. Okay, my lovelies, so I have gone ahead and completed my second row of the ruffles here on the skirt. And as you can see, this is pretty much how it's beginning to look like. So we're starting to have very definite defined ruffles here, which is good, and this is what we want. And so we don't increase anymore, and as you can see, I've pretty much completed my 2 half double crochets here. So I will go ahead and slip stitch on top of that, chain 1 just like that, and then I'm gonna chain 1, and now I'm gonna just do regular half double crochets around for as many rows as I want to create the size of the ruffles that I want, okay, or the length. So again, after my chain 1, which doesn't count as a stitch, I'm gonna go into that stitch and complete a half double crochet, and then I'm gonna go into the next stitch and complete a half double crochet, and then in the next stitch, and this is where it's as easy as it can get where you just do your half double crochets around, and then you will come all the way to here. You will do your last or your final half double crochet here. You will slip stitch on top of the chain 1, start the next row, and just continue doing that until you have what you want for the size of the ruffle, okay? So I'm gonna let you guys build the rest of it here, because it's just literally repeating this row here, this third row, as long as you want your ruffles to be. I'm not gonna do mine to be too long. I will probably do, let's say, another 6-7 rows, something like that, of not increasing. But I will also just kind of wing it based on how it looks. So I'll keep going, and then when I see that it looks nice and I think I can stop, then I will stop. And you can absolutely do the same. And then when you have what you want, it's satisfactory to you, you're gonna stop as well, and then you're gonna come back to the video, and I'm gonna show you guys what I did, what number of rows I stopped at, and then we're gonna pretty much wrap up the video, okay? So go ahead and work the rest of your skirt here, and then come back when you've completed it. Okay, my lovelies, so I have worked the ruffles of the skirt here to a point that I think it's enough. I think this is a good length for the ruffles in the bottom. Obviously, this is just my taste. If you want yours to be longer, go ahead and continue working on them. So I ended up doing, I think, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I ended up doing 6 rows, and I stopped at this because, again, like I said, I think it's enough looking like this. If you guys prefer longer, go ahead and continue to do that, but I will stop mine after 6 rows, and that is enough for me, okay? So I have completed my final half double crochet where I'm supposed to, right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and slip stitch, and then I will just pretty much end it here. So I'm gonna slip stitch on top of that chain 1. I'm gonna bring my scissors in, I'm gonna cut my yarn somewhere there, and we're gonna put that away, and then I'm gonna go ahead and slip stitch again to lock that guy in there, okay? So this is pretty much it here. As you can see, I still have all this to be able to weave in, but I will do that off camera. But for me, the project is pretty much done here. So this is your short skirt with ruffles completed, and all you will have to do is either make a matching top. I don't think I will be making a matching top for this one because I have just this amount of yarn left, so I will not be doing much with this anytime soon. As well as I did leg warmers with this yarn. They're not obviously with ruffles or anything like that, so I will show you guys probably the skirt sometimes on some pictures with the leg warmers, just to because it's something that matches. But yeah, this is it here. So it's a nice kind of tight skirt. It's very stretchy though, like look at this, you know, like it's very stretchy. So this is gonna hug you very nice and comfortable, and then these are nice kind of cute playful ruffles at the bottom like this, okay? So I'm not gonna take too much of your time. I'm gonna end the video here. Thank you for watching the video to the end. It does help me a lot with algorithm for you guys not to click in and click out quickly, so I appreciate that. As well, make sure you share the video if there's other people who are learning to crochet, or just somebody who's looking for different projects to do, and you know they're always looking for something new to do. Just forward this to them, or share this with them so that they can watch and create something that they would love to wear, to sell, whatever the case is. And don't forget to subscribe. I have so many of you who watch the videos but are not subscribed. I think at this point I'm probably at like 92% of my viewers are not subscribers, and only 8% are subscribers. So if you are watching a few videos on my channel, it doesn't take anything from you to subscribe, to literally just hit subscribe. It doesn't cost you any money, it doesn't do anything. I would really appreciate the support, because that would help. And of course, make sure you give it thumbs ups if you like the video. If you don't like the video, you can put a thumbs down on it. I don't care. It's just, I just need to have some kind of interaction on the channel, so the channel can at least grow a little bit. But anyways, that's it for me. I'm gonna go ahead and weave in all of my ends here, and my project is ready to wear. So thank you again, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.